Intros are always so weird for me. Okay, I want to go barefoot. Why do I have shoes? I'm in my house. Hello guys, welcome to or back to my channel. I've seen a lot of new faces and a lot of new people on this channel, which make me really happy because I've been receiving a lot of positive feedback and a lot of comments that my videos are impacting you, which is what I hoped for. And I thought with all these new people I would just film a video of frequently asked questions that I've been getting a lot recently on my YouTube and Instagram. I know that this is a lifestyle that a lot of people dream about and want to pursue, so I want to answer these questions so that if you are curious about this, maybe it will ease your mind or you'll understand it better and maybe view it as a more achievable goal. So I have written down some of these questions that I get, and the first one, probably the most common one, is how do you feel safe on the road? I did make a whole video about safety, but to sum it up in one thing is I don't always feel safe on the road, and that is just the reality of it. Is there are going to be some situations in some new places that make you feel uncomfortable and maybe even unsafe. And so what I try to do is take measures to make myself feel more safe or mitigate that and manage that risk that is inevitably there. So for me, some of those measures is keeping weapons, and that's what I would recommend too, is like a knife or a taser or even a gun if that is what you are into. Also, being aware of your surroundings is a really good practice if you're going to travel as a female or just a solo traveler in general, and it's something that I've become more in tune to the more I travel. I'm always looking at my surroundings. I'm looking at if cars are broken into around me, if there's a window shattered, if there's a lot of cars, and like what do those cars look like, and what does the environment look like, what do the houses look like, is there litter on the ground? All these can indicate the environment you're in. But really, when I'm in nature, I do not feel sketched out. When I'm in cities, I do feel a little more unsafe, but in nature, I just feel so comfortable. I feel so safe. I listen to my intuition, and in most places, on most Bureau of Land Management, BLM land, or National Forest land, I just feel like nothing is going to go wrong. I think the beautiful nature spots just draw the most pure-hearted and sweet souls to them, whereas I've noticed that cities I do feel a little bit more dangerous in. The second question is, how do you make money on the road? And basically I live off savings, and I kind of view it as like intermittent retirement. So I'm like retired right now for 3 months, and then I'll find a odd job along the way, work my ass off for like a month or two or however long, and then I can use that money to sustain myself for the next few months. Right now, the job I'm going to actually in a few days is at a farm in Northern California, and I really enjoy working at farms and like using my hands and helping someone else, so that's really nice. I've also nannied and sold artwork, and so I just find little odd jobs and little ways I can make money. But I think the biggest thing surrounding money is like how to save it. I think a lot of times we focus on how to get money, and that's really important, but also not spending it is really important. So I use an app on my phone called Gas Buddy, and that's very helpful because it just shows the cheapest gas in the area, and gas is one of my biggest expenses, so that cuts down a lot. And I also try to manifest money, and I know that this seems a little silly, this concept might seem far out, but for the last few years, a couple years actually, ever since I started saving for the van and realizing I wanted to travel full time, I have a manifestation journal where I write down all of the things I want to manifest. One of my consistent manifestations is money flows to me effortlessly. I naturally attract an abundance of money, or things like that. And I don't know, maybe it seems foolish and maybe it's all in my mind or coincidence, but I do notice that whenever I get really into those manifestations and those writings and affirmations, and I do them every single day, money does flow to me. And I kind of have this crazy example where I just got back from Indonesia and I was a little tight on money, and so I started writing every single day, money flows to me effortlessly, all these money affirmations. And then I go to the dealership for Ford. There was a recall on the drive shaft for the Ford Transits, the van that I have. So I went in to get it fixed, and they dropped me off home at my parents' home in a shuttle. And they told me they'd call me when it's done. But instead of getting a call that it's done, I get a call that they kind of wrecked my van. Just a small wreck, but they wrecked my van. And I have dash footage of it that I'll put right here. Yeah, they just drove and I guess clipped this truck, and it scratched the side of my car and took off a little black magnet piece. And whenever I went to go get an estimate for it, it ended up being $10,000 by some weird freak accident, because not only did it scrape the trim, but it also kind of dented the metal in the back. So technically for them to fix it 100% back to normal, like, they would have to literally replace the side door. So it ended up being a lot of money, but for me to fix it up to where the standard that I want, which is just kind of cosmetic, it's probably only going to cost like $1,000. So I just got $9,000 from that. And other situations like that kind of just come along when I start manifesting. And again, it might be a coincidence, I know that, but I don't know. I like to believe in miracles, so I write them down. What is the worst thing about van life? When you go online and you go on Instagram and you go on social media and you look at van life, there's definitely this perception that it's just the perfect life and there's nothing wrong with it and it's so wonderful and free. And I don't know, there's a part of me where some days I'm like, this is so true, like this is the best life, I figured everything out, like I could never be more happy, this is how I'm supposed to live. And the majority of time I feel that way, but there are definitely struggles like with any lifestyle that people don't talk about, and I want to make an effort to talk about them on my channel because I do want to show the full scope. There are nights where you're going to sleep at a Walmart, and there are nights when 13 mice will raid your van and you won't get sleep for a month. Other downsides is that it gets messy super quickly, and when it's really hot or the weather isn't just right, it can really debilitate your lifestyle. Like for me, if it's really hot, it's so hard because I need solar, so I need sun, but I don't want to be baking in the sun because it makes my van so hot. So I'm kind of like faced with this weird position, and my van isn't really well insulated, so there's days where when it's really hot, I just remember in Utah like not being able to do anything, not even being able to function, and putting ice packs all over my body because I'm like, I need to be cold, like I cannot be this hot. But honestly, even with all of the downsides in mind, I wouldn't trade this lifestyle for anything. I do feel that pain and suffering is kind of necessary to be able to feel joy and happiness and love. And so I'm not in any position, nor do I want to numb those negative emotions. Like if mice come into my van and if it's really hot, that's a sensation that I want to feel and welcome. And it can fucking suck sometimes. Like it definitely sucks sometimes. But when I look back on it, like those are interesting memories too. Like the month that mouse infested my van and my friend Victoria's van was, I don't know, it was like a memory, and I'm glad that it happened, and it's a story, and it's something I'll never forget. So yeah, I don't know, I enjoy the negatives in hindsight as much as the positives. The next question is, how do you get mail? So I just go to general delivery at the UPS store. Yeah, you can just get, I've only done this once actually, you just get your general mail delivered. Or I'll ship it to friends, that's the second option. And the third option is Amazon lock boxes. I don't know, I don't really like supporting Amazon, but the Amazon lock boxes are really convenient because they have them everywhere and you can just ship to a lockbox and then you get the code and you open it. But yeah, I think I prefer general delivery, and I'll try to move more in that direction. Next question, how can you build a community on the road, and do you ever get lonely? Actually, when I moved into the van, I had been spending a lot of time alone saving up for it. I basically had no social life. So in comparison to that life before, I never really felt lonely. I think it was something I really got used to. I enjoyed my time alone. But I also have kind of gone more into the community aspect of living in a van within this last few months, and I really have been enjoying that. I don't know, I think that solitude is very important, but paradoxically, so is community. We are social creatures. We do need other people to be happy, and we also need to be alone to be happy. We need to love ourselves to love others. We need others to love us to love ourselves. So it's kind of a weird feedback loop where it's all intertwined, and I try to balance both community and alone time. So right now I've spent the last few days alone, but in a couple days I'm gonna go meet up with Victoria and all of my friends in Northern California. But in terms of building a community on the road, I think it's much easier than a lot of people may think, and much easier than I ever thought it'd be before I lived in a van. Honestly, I think a big part of building a community is just becoming a likable, charismatic person, and it's kind of weird to think like, oh, becoming a charismatic, likable person, like how do you become that? That's something you're just born with. But I don't really view it that way. I think some people are born naturally charismatic and outgoing, but I also think it's something that can be learned. And some of the tools I used to learn it was a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book I highly recommend. It's also really helpful to just become influential and change the world, hopefully for the better. And another tip for charisma and stuff like that is actually a YouTube channel, and I've watched a few of their videos. I think it's called Charisma on Command. The dude does like deep dives into people's characters and what makes them likable and charismatic. And so I don't know, I do attribute the community I've built in the van to like learning these tools and how to just become more likable, because it's one thing to access a community and see it and know it's there, and it's another thing to be accepted into open arms, and accepted with open arms into a community like people will definitely do if you just are a likable person, and that's something you can learn. There's also van gatherings all across the country, like RTR and Descend on Bend, and I've heard of others, and I haven't been to any of them, but I have some friends, I have many friends actually that live in vans who've been to those communities, and because of those events they've like created a community and friends on the road. So I think that's also really helpful. How do you go to the bathroom? So right now I'm parked on a pier in San Francisco, and luckily there are porta potties here, so I've been going to the bathroom in porta potties. The other way is I have 2 pee cups if I'm in a city and I like don't want to drive to a gas station, there's not a porta potty. I just pee in them and then empty them out in the grass, and that works well for me. For poop, I don't know, this might be too much information, and I talked about pee and poop in one of my videos, and I got a few comments that were like, what the fuck, this is too much information. But if it's too much information, you can just skip. I do get a lot of questions about this, so I feel like I just want to address it so people know if they're curious about this lifestyle, like how do you go to the restroom. It's a really valid question. So for shitting, I have shit in a bag before, and I just got a doggy poop bag. I've only done it once in a desperate time. I shit in it, threw it away basically immediately. And when I'm in nature, what I do when I need to shit is I have a big shovel and I shovel into the ground, poop into that hole, which is about, I try to do 6 inches deep, I think is the technical thing. I put my toilet paper in it and I cover it up. I put a big rock on top so that dogs don't get into it, wild animals don't, and so that another human who's camping doesn't try to do the same thing. And then also, like, I can just go to gas stations for restrooms, so I mean really it's not that big of an issue. It's just kind of become my life to pee in cups and poop in a hole in the ground. How do you watch TV? I haven't really talked about this, and maybe I'll make a video about it, but for about 2 years before I moved into the van, I was celibate. I didn't watch TV. I ate raw vegan for like one of those years, and basically whole food plant-based for the other one. I woke up at 5 a.m. every day. Like, I was on a grind. Not watching TV and changing that habit to reading instead really benefited me, and At this point, like, I don't really crave it or want to binge watch TV as much as I used to. I barely watch TV. I actually only watch TV when I'm with another person, and I really like that because I actually think that for the most part TV is pretty unproductive and I don't gain too much from it. In the past, I had this perception that TV helped me relax or wind down, but when I reflect back on it, it really kind of didn't. It just kind of numbed me and took me further away from reality. I don't know, it just wasn't really a productive form of escape, and I think reading for me has been a really good substitute. But I do need Wi-Fi to like edit these videos, for example, and for that I just use my hotspot whenever I do have service, and if I don't, I just try to accept that I don't. It's not a big deal. I don't need Wi-Fi all the time. I can also park in front of like a Starbucks or somewhere that has Wi-Fi and hop on theirs, and I've done that before. But what has living in a van taught you? Wow, it's taught me so much. Like, I cannot even put into words how it has changed my life. It has taught me so much. It's beyond belief. Like, I really had all these crazy expectations about van life, honestly, about traveling full time. Like, I thought it was going to change my world, and I thought it was going to be so perfect. And living this life, it has exceeded any expectation or dream I could ever have. Like, I have learned so much in this last year. I've learned how to use tools and like problem solve, and things break in my van and I learned how to fix it myself. And so that's one thing that I've learned. I've learned how to catch mice in a bucket. I've learned how to, like, I lead climbed outdoors, like rock climbing, for the first time, which I've been wanting to do forever. I used to be obsessed with rock climbing. I slacklined for the first time. I surfed for the first time. I've learned how to get my van unstuck because I've gotten it stuck so many times. But part of that is because I've been learning to drive on like really kind of crazy terrain and off-road, and so that's another thing I've learned. And I came out this year as bisexual, which I never thought I would do either. And I think part of the reason why I came out like while I was on the road is because I grew up in Texas and it's just so conservative. I gained confidence traveling full-time, and I gained confidence being solo enough to where I could even embrace my sexuality. Do you plan on going anywhere outside of these states? And if so, where? Yes, I have so many plans in my mind, so many things I want to do outside of the states. I love international travel. The only thing that's holding me back is really money. Like, I have to figure out how to budget that into my travel plan. The next question is, how do you shower and do laundry? For showers, I've been going to Planet Fitness, but whenever I'm in nature, I have a shower out the back. And unfortunately, I was rear-ended by a semi-truck about a month ago, so I can't open my back doors, which really actually sucks pretty bad. But Victoria has a hot water shower, so I also just use that and shower myself, or I'll shower in creeks, rivers, streams, stuff like that. For laundry, I just go to laundromats, or I go to my friends' houses and use their laundry washer machine, but I can go for a while without doing laundry. I think I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you guys enjoyed and it answered some of your questions. These are the most frequent questions I get. If you guys have any more, you can leave them down below, and I'll just like keep this journal and periodically do these videos if you guys like them, because I liked filming it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like and subscribe if you did like this video, because it really supports my channel. And I'm also posting videos every single Saturday, so yeah, every single Saturday you can look out for my videos. Yeah.